Hi, today we will be discussing the water cycle. Okay, some learning objectives for today for you guys will be I will be able to identify and describe the stages of the water cycle, including evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. Our second learning objective for today will be I will be able to explain how water changes states, including soil, liquid, gas, during the different stages of the water cycle. Objective number three, I will be able to create a diagram of the water cycle, learning each stage and illustrating the process. And lastly, our last learning objective for today will be I will use key vocabulary terms related to the water cycle correctly. Okay, so for today, we're going to start with our first stage, which is evaporation. Evaporation is the stage where we see that evaporation happens when a liquid substance becomes a gas. Evaporation happens in the water cycle when the sun warms the water's surface. So you may ask, what is evaporation? Like I said, evaporation is a process where water changes from liquid to gas or a vapor. This happens when sun heats up water in rivers, lakes, or oceans, causing to rise into the air. The water molecules gain energy and move faster, eventually escaping into the atmosphere as vapor. It's a crucial part of the water cycle, helping to move water from Earth's surface into the atmosphere. And as we see right here in this image, we see evaporation. We see the water rising up to the clouds and into the atmosphere. Stage number two, which is condensation. Condensation. In this stage, we see that condensation is a gas like water vapor, which changes states to become a liquid, which is water. The water vapor cools down and condenses into tiny droplets, which forms into clouds. So, a quick summary of condensation can be that condensation is a process where water vapor in the air cools down and changes back into liquid droplets. This usually happens when warm, moist air rises and meets cooler air in the atmosphere. As the vapor cools, it loses energy and the molecules come closer together to form tiny droplets. This droplet cluster together to form clouds or fogs. It's important it is an important part of the water cycle because it leads to precipitation, helping to return water to the Earth's surface. And in this image, we see how the condensation is moving the liquid into the clouds and will rise down. Stage number three. Stage number three is precipitation. Precipitation in this stage is water releases from clouds as hail, steel, rain, freezing rain, or snow. Precipitation mainly occurs when clouds get too heavy. A quick definition of precipitation is where water droplets become heavy and fall back down to earth. This can happen in various forms, such as, like I mentioned, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, depending on the temperature and the atmosphere conditions. When the droplets combine and grow larger, gravity pulls them down. Precipitation is essentially for replenishing water into river, lakes, and soils, supporting plant and animal lives. It's a key stage in the water cycle, ensuring that the water continuously moves from the atmosphere to the ground. And on here we see an image of four examples of precipitation, which I mentioned: rain, sleet, hail, and snow. So, one way you can always remember precipitation is when the clouds are really heavy, it is more likely for it to demonstrate that it's going to rain, it's going to snow, it's going to hail, or just when we see a dark gray cloud, we already know that it's more likely for it to rain. Moving on to stage number four, which is collection. In this stage, collection is where water is temporarily collected and stored. The water collects in bodies like lakes, rivers, oceans, and that's where the cycle starts all over again. So collection, in a way, we can see that it is the end of the cycle. So after collection, we go back to stage one. So, like I mentioned, collection is where everything is stored. It's where everything is saved, meaning like all the water and all that. But collection in a small summary would be um, collection is a process where water forms precipitation, gathers in various bodies of waters like rivers, lakes, and oceans. Some of the water also steams into the ground, replenishing groundwater supplies. This collected water eventually makes its way back to larger bodies of water. Continuing the cycle. Collection ensures that water is available for ecosystems, human use, and other natural processes. It's the final stage of the water cycle before it starts again with evaporation, which we talked about, which was stage one. So now let's review. What are the four most important stages of the water cycle that we just discussed? So I would like you guys to fill out the blank that I provided here in this image, and you will have to mention the four, which I don't want to mention it, or I would give you the answer. So just let me know and we'll review it. So now it's your turn. Let's create your own water cycle where you can incorporate whichever water cycle in the real life worlds. You can say you're in the backyard, you're at the beach, in the park, but how would you incorporate the water cycle, or how would you see the evaporation, the condensation, precipitation, or collection? So for our directions, I want you to create a mini group with 3 or 4 of your classmates. Choose your favorite outdoor spots, like I said, for example, the park, the beach, backyard, etc., anywhere. And on a poster, draw the place that demonstrates how you would visualize the water cycle. And lastly, I would like you guys to present your project of the water cycle to the class. And here we go with my citations. This was where I found all of my information. Thank you for listening.